There is a certain myth going around in this industry, okay, where you need to spend a minimum of $100, $200, $300 a day on meta ads on your clothing brand to start seeing results. Now, that might be true for some people, right? Where you don't have an exact strategy and you're just not hitting that insane ROAS and you're not hitting that target return of ad spend. But in this video, I'm going to show you why that is completely false, okay? And this might have been true 4 years ago, but this is a new era and running meta ads have never been easier, okay? Now, quick little, let's just go to my Instagram stories real quick, okay? One of our clients, we spent $575 and made back 6.7K. That makes kind of 10K without with that huge ad spend, posting every day for no reason. We hit 12.6K in 1 month while only spending 2.5K on ads with a 7.32 ROAS. With this client, we have an 8.33 ROAS where we spent $113 in 1 day and made back $939, nearly 1K a day. With this client, 28.57 ROAS. Obviously, if you don't know what that means, we spend $1 to get back $28 back. We spent, for this client, at 28.43 ROAS, where we spent 27 to make $750 in 1 day. Again, another client came to me being burned off with an agency, sort of in a desperate situation. This is what happens when you work with an agency and your new brand. Paying 2K a month, agency with 0 sales. We hopped in onboarding go ASAP a couple days ago and made new systems changes straight away with a 9 ROAS, obviously insane results, okay? And then the reason why I'm showing you this, and obviously I have a full video, I might put in the link in the bio, I don't really know, okay? A live proof of me scaling a brand from 0 to 50K a month in 30 days. I'm sort of recorded myself every single day in the ad account in terms of how I make the decision-making process and the KPIs, okay? Now, the reason why I'm showing you this is because all of these clients were able to hit these results without spending $100, $200 to start off with. Right? And I find that very dumb when someone goes up to me, oh, I thought I need to spend at least $100. We all started to be in the position where we spend, for example, $10, $20 a day, and then from that we get $60 back. We hit our primary ROAS, right? For example, next month in March we spend $100, then we get $300 back, and then from that budget we improve the ad acquisition, put that back in the ads, and slowly scale up to that budget. There's no point if you don't have a proven system or anything where we just spend $100 and that's gambling, right? That is gambling. So the old way, right? This is probably what you're doing, right? Someone tells you to spend a minimum of $100 a day on ads and you don't see results, but you trust the process and it's in the learning phase. You lose all your money. You're like, what the fuck? And then you suddenly blame, oh, meta ads don't work for my brand, okay? Now, the truth of the matter is no budget, no ad strategy is the problem. I'm sorry, you're the problem, okay? And today I'll be breaking down a strategy that has worked for me and my clients, but most importantly, teaching you the fundamental of ads, okay? And at the end of the video, I'll go to one of my personal ad accounts, show you the live setup step by step, but it is important that you watch all the way through because if you don't understand why I'm doing these things, you're going to be in the same position as you were before. And I always like to give this analogy, okay? You need to fish for yourself. Let's just say we live in a world where we need fish to survive. It's like our oxygen, right? And we don't learn to catch our fish ourselves. So we sort of ask someone to catch our fish for them, but we don't know if the technique is right. We don't even know if they can actually catch a fish and we just rely on them. What's gonna happen to us if they don't do a good job? We're gonna die, right? There's no fish for us, right? So that is why it is so important for us to catch fish. And back in 2018, 2020, 100% it was hard. Now, especially after the new Andromeda update, the ability to learn ads in terms of deliverables and the acquisition, all that type of stuff to scale your brand with ads alone, with meta ads alone, has never been easier, okay? Now, I'm going to present to you the low budget meta ad strategy. And the first thing that you need to understand, there are 3 levels to ads. Obviously, you might know this as well. There's a campaign level, there's the ad set, and there's the ad level, okay? And quite frankly, running ads and fundamentally the best media buyers, the best people that run the ads in the world, this is what I want you to understand, are the people who can test the most efficiently, okay? I'm gonna say that one more time. It's the people who can test the most efficiently, okay? And the key word is test, because we're never gonna come into a situation where we have an ad and we know it's gonna work straight away. Okay, unless you have previous data. Well, in this case, if you're looking for a low budget strategy, that is probably not the case, right? Now, put interest, top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel aside, or who you're actually targeting. The only thing that I want you to focus on is when you're running ads for the first time, or if you're poor and you have a low budget, is to test the creatives. Now, many people get this wrong, what creatives actually mean. Creatives are not, are this content style, whatever it is. It's the content for specifically for ads, because the creatives that we make, we want to make it specifically for the ads. Just because we make it for organic, that doesn't mean it's a good ad creative that we can run on the ad platform. Okay, that is the main thing that I want you to understand. Now, creatives should do 80% of the heavy lifting, and the other 20% is just simply the basic ad structure and our ability to make the decision, read the KPI, and make the right adjustments. Because again, sort of going back, the best media buyers and best agencies, or whatever you do, are people just who can just test the most efficiently. That's what it is. Okay. Now, if you have the ability to fish for yourself, you're going to be very, very good at this. But creatives should do 80% of testing. Now, the question is, Daniel, how do we test creatives? How do I know if my creative is good? Relax, okay, relax. I'm gonna go through it. Now, the first thing that I need you to understand, our creatives and how we test, especially at a low budget, we need to split the creatives into ad sets, okay? So it sort of looks like this, an ad set versus ad set. Now, how do I split the creatives, okay? For example, let's just say we have a streetwear brand, okay? Now we have ad set 1, okay? And then we have ad set 2 here, okay? Let's just say we have a One Hero evergreen product that we're gonna test, and it's just this hoodie, okay? Hoodie, okay, for the sake of this, it's color black, okay? Now, ad set 1, I might be wanting to focus on the actual flat lay vertical. So, okay, these ad sets are split, and you need to split this into different concepts, because if you split this into different concepts, you can see side by side on where the budget allocation is, where Facebook is spending its money, and you can actually set the data and the KPI apart. Okay, now for example, from the ad set, you want to have different iterations of that concept, because just because flat lay, with a hoodie with a green background might not work, that doesn't mean that concept doesn't work. It might just be that background. So we also want to give it different iterations and different variations towards that specific ad set. Okay, so for example, if this concept is flat lay 1, okay, so I might just want to put flat lays, I want to add 4 to 6 different variations and iterations towards this specific ad set. Now ad set 2, I might go for maybe a photo shoot, studio shoot vertical, right? So again, 2 different concepts, but from this, I also want to add 4 to 6 different iterations, right, under each concept. So iterations, just to clarify, meaning the different types of creatives revolving around that specific concept. So to give you an example, a hoodie with a green background, a hoodie with a black background, flat lays, obviously go on, you sort of get the point. Same with studio shoots, might be a different model, might be a different angle. But again, the main thing that I want you to understand, all these 4 to 6 ads that you're gonna put has to come back to the actual concept, right? You can't just put something in video, right? Because quite frankly, if you put a video against a static ad, the video might get the most spent, even if it's not gonna get the right results, because you're gonna get a higher CTR, lower CPM, whatever it is, right? Facebook's gonna prioritize a primary KPI first. That's why we always like to split it and batch test it. This is what we call batches, okay? Now, you understand sort of the very simplistic way of testing creatives, the fundamental aspect of splitting them into different ad sets and testing them through different concepts. Now, the question is, what should the specific budget be? Now, this is a very dumb question, right? And because there's not really a specific budget that you need to be in the position of before you run ads, okay? Like, I look at it this way, okay? If a brand has a budget of, for example, $5,000, right? We don't want to spend $5,000 in that month. I'd rather you split that up to $1,000 for 5 months, so we can spread that out in terms of testing, right? Because at the end of the day, if we spend $500 a day and we don't know anything about KPIs, we don't know anything if a creative is good, if we don't know anything about if a creative is bad, it's sort of gambling. We're just hoping that this is a hit and hoping that we get the sales, but we never want to scale a business with hope. We want to scale the business with numbers, right? So what should the specific budget be? The thing I want you to work out is you need to think about it and ask the question, how much are you willing to spend, right, on ads, and you get nothing back from it, but you can live with it? So either that be $500, either that be $700, either that be $1,000, right? Use that budget as a starting budget to work it around with. So for example, if you're willing to spend $1,000 next month and get absolutely nothing back from it, you're fine. Then that is the ad budget. So we work the $1,000 and work everything back to back on how many dollars a day when you spend every single day. So that would be like $30 a day, right? Now, Okay, there's no budget where you need to be like, oh, I need to spend. No, that is complete bullshit, because at the end of the product has an AOV, which is the average order value of the product, right? Now, if the product doesn't hit the AOV, for example, if your product AOV is $100, right, for example, and we spend $50, right, to hit AOV of the product, that will take 2 days for the ads to test to see if it will hit break even. Because if we get a sale from $100 and the product is $100, right, we will be able to see if we can get a sale in 2 days, right? Boom, right? However, if we set a budget to $10, it will take 10 days to get to $100, right? So it's just a matter of, right, if our budget is low, it's just a matter of it's going to take more time, but take more time to actually test and get to where we want to go. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially if you're starting out, because we want to make sure that we have the right work KPIs, and you can also predict if these creatives are going to work well as well as the day goes on, right? It's because especially for an ad account or a pixel with new data, we never know what it's actually going to do. So necessarily, I actually want you to spend not $100, even if you have the budget, to actually spend lower, even if you have the budget, especially because it's a new brand, a new ad account, and your budget is low, right? So to clarify, budget should be completely off your personal financing, okay? Now, second of all, how do you know if a specific creative is working well, okay? Now, I'm going to be very simple. There are a lot, I'll be honest, there's a lot of KPIs that you can look at, but there are 2 KPIs that you mainly need to work out, okay? Number 1 is obviously the obvious, which is ROAS, okay, which stands for return of ad spend. So we need to work out, are we profiting or are we not profiting? Simple as that, right? So for example, right, what is your target ROAS, okay, which is what is your break-even ROAS, which is basically the return of ad spend number on what we need to hit to break even, right? Now, if you don't know what your target ROAS is, break-even ROAS is, just go into this website, and all you need to do is add your product selling price and product cost, okay? I'll put the link in bio, or just DM me for the website, okay? Now, ROAS, if it's 1.4, and obviously if the ad is saying it's 1.2, that means we're losing money, all right? So the first indicator that a creative is doing well with any budget is it is above break-even ROAS, okay? The second of all is CTR, link click-through rate, all right? Again, I'm using a mouse. I'm sorry if my handwriting is absolutely shit, okay? Now, if you're running a static ad, right, an image ad, if it's anywhere above 1% to 1.8%, okay, it is a good creative. If you're running a video ad, if it's anywhere above 3% to 5%, it is a good creative, okay? Now, videos tend to have technically higher click-through rates, and this is the exact reason why we always want to split it, because if Facebook makes a decision on spending on basically primary KPIs, which will it do because you don't have any sales data, right, then the video ads is going to get all spend and you're not going to get any testing spend on the actual static ad, okay? So how do you know if a specific creative is working well? Use these 2 metrics, ROAS and CTR, link click-through rate, right? Now, when can I confirm that a creative is not working well, okay? The biggest mistake that I see from brand owners is that they make decisions too early, okay? And what I mean by that is they make decisions too emotionally. Oh no, I spent $50 and I haven't got a sale, so I need to turn it off. Okay, relax, all right? This game is, the brand owners get rewarded for people that actually make the smart decision on emotional decisions, right? So the thing that you need to understand is, first of all, if you haven't got any sales, how much have you spent? For example, if your average order value is $100, right, and you've spent $50, right? Oh shit, I haven't got a sale. This credit not, calm down, right? Let it spend, sort of my rule of thumb is let it spend at least 1x to 1.5 to 2x of the average order value before you make any decision. And the reason for that is, for example, if you spend $50 and you get a sale, you're at 2x, right? Even if you get a sale at $100, you're at break even, right? So if you're in a situation, always work out how much you spend in relation to your AOV. And if you're sort of advertising a collection, work out the average collection AOV for that as well. Okay, so that is how you want to calculate it, okay? So again, when can I confirm that a creative is not working? If it's spent 2x of the AOV, right, from your ad spend, and your ROAS and CTA is still not hitting, right? That's a very simple way to sort of justify it. I'm making this video very simple because if I make it too complicated, then none of you guys are going to do shit, okay? Now, 4, how many ads do I make under an ad set? I sort of answered that question. 4 to 6, the reason why we don't want to do 10, 15, 20, 30 is because, again, our budget is very low, okay? If we're spending $10 a day, if we're spending $15 a day, and we give it a lot of variety, that means we're sort of underfitting each different types of creative. So we want to give it a solid 3, even 3. I wouldn't put anywhere under 3 because we want to give it much iteration, but minimum 3 creatives and a maximum of 6 creatives under each ad set, okay? Now, what if my ad doesn't get out of the learning phase? Fuck learning phase, okay? Fuck learning phase, okay? It does not mean anything for you. Learning phase is basically how fast you can get it to 50 sales. That's not our main focus. Sales is our main focus. Our main focus right now is to build an oiled up system, pause, that can sort of be in the position where even if we spend $100 that month, get $300 back, whatever it is, right? That is our main goal. And learning phase has nothing to do with that. Okay, now, this is sort of a very simplistic system that we want you to follow, okay? Now, number one is creative testing. Always remember, we're gonna test creative through ad set versus ad set. That's number one, okay? Analyze KPI, I don't know why I said Y, this is KPI, okay? Key performance indicator within 4 to 7 days span and hitting product AOV. For example, if your budget, okay, is, for example, you're spending $10 a day, right? And AOV is, let me just put this away, $100, that means we will need to spend 10 days worth of testing until it hits. Like, quite frankly honest with you, I don't even want you to look at this until you've spent at least close to the AOV, right? And if it doesn't work, it's not a situation where you have to continuously keep running it. For ads, we always want to keep testing, always want to learn what creative's working, what angle is working, what product is working, that type of stuff. So even if it is where you only have $100 to spend and you ran to 10 days, next month get ready to run it again, right? Because I never want you to, if you put, for example, $1,000 and that's the only money you have and you need to make it work, I don't want you to put that $1,000 into just one ad and just fucking give it a go, right? Split it up in different months. So for example, maybe even spending $200 that month, right? So for example, if we're spending $20 a day, we need to wait 5 days, right? And then once we learn that data, if we don't get any sales, it's okay, because we have next month to test and convert to make better iterations, right? But we always want to be continuously spending money on ads to keep on learning, to keep on getting data. We never want to just like stop running ads because, oh shit, I didn't know what I was doing and stop running ads, okay? Now, decision-making process either comes down to either, let me put my pen back up, either killing an ad set, pausing an ad set, or leave as a scale. So I would kill an ad set is obviously if we spend AOV, okay? And if it's not hitting our break-even ROAS, and the CTR is not optometric, I would kill it. I would pause it, right? If it's a situation where your budget is running low, which is okay to turn it back on once you're actually ready to start running ads, right? And I will leave as it is or scale if we're hitting our primary KPIs with the 2 metrics I told you, okay? Now from that, a new creative ideation process. Now, there is a video that I want you to watch, right? And this is quite frankly, as I said, 80% of the heavy lifting should be done by the creatives. It's the input that we get to get the right outputs. Now, there is a video that I made. It's like 30 minutes. It's a bit fucking boring, but it shows you how to make winning creatives and the ideation process of making winning creatives for your clothing brand. I'm going to put the link in bio and I want you to watch that because that is very important. Quite frankly, this is just a fundamental media buying aspect of this video on how to actually set everything up. Okay, now I'm going to go into the actual ad account and actually show you this. Okay, so on one of the brand's ad account, now I'm going to show you the live setup on what I would do if I probably only had like $10, $20 a day to spend on ad acquisition. Okay, now the main thing that I want you to learn, again, have that testing mindset and have that mindset of it doesn't have to work out in the first month, all right? Because this is a game where it's sort of like a marathon, okay? If you have $1,000 to spend, if you don't know the basic KPIs, why spend it all in that 1 month, right? Spread it out, right? Learn the data, learn what you get from the creatives, and continuously just consistently run the ads, okay? That's the main thing I want you to understand. Now, I'm gonna go deeper into how to actually set this up, okay? Now, obviously, first things first, you always want to run a sales campaign. The reason for that is because we're trying to get sales. Okay, if you're running awareness, traffic, engagement, leads, app promotion, then you're blowing out money. Okay, the only reason why we would ever run a leads or traffic campaign is if you have a sign-up page and you actually want leads to the SMS or email. However, I have found that traffic has worked tremendously better for a sign-up page, right? Especially if you don't have custom embedded on it. Okay, now continue your sales campaign. Okay, now for this campaign, we are actually going to run a simple CBO campaign, okay? Now, CBO, okay? And the reason for that is, if we run an ABO, we're basically making the decisions for ourselves, right? And especially where we don't have a lot of budget, we always want the decision to be made by the best people, right? The smartest people, which is this scenario is Facebook, right? We are not better than the system. We are not better than the AI. And we need to trust Facebook decision-making process on where the budget is spent because their primary goals, as you can see, the campaign objective is to get sales. So Facebook is going to spend the money where it thinks in terms of the inputs that you've given it is going to get sale. It's sort of like this. If we're trying to get a kid to sort of like us or whatever it is, right? And we're sort of giving him options, right? And in this case, our creative is the option. So we're giving him chocolate or Sour Patch Kids, pick and choose one. The kids will choose, right? And it's not like, hey, here's a chocolate, right? Kid might not like it, whatever it is. That's the same thing in process, right? So CBO, and how I like to name this, put Cho, just, you don't have to put Cho, okay? You can put whatever you want, but we put CBO, and then you can either put the collection of the product you're advertising, okay? Now, buying type auction, campaign sales, advantage catalogs off, and then obviously budget strategies campaign. This is in Indonesian rupees because that's the ad account that's set up in, okay? This is one of the brand's ad account. So you can put this for $10. I wouldn't go anywhere below $5 a day though, okay? You can put $10, whatever it is. Make sure you have the audience segmenting reporting. I have a full video on that, so if you need that, give me a message on Instagram. This is super important because it shows you where the customer's actually coming from. Is it coming from an engaged audience? Is it coming from an existing audience? Which is really important because cost per acquisition is directly correlation to that. Now, simple, leave everything on as it is, okay? Now, conversion location, obviously we want to a website. Now, I want you to name this batch, okay? Batch 1, obviously there's other ads, that's how we have batches, okay? And then I saw that streetwear example I gave you, maybe you want to name this flat lay, okay? Flat lay. Conversion location set to website. Do the maximum value of conversion instead of number of conversion around the data set. Obviously you put the right pixel in, right conversion event, which is obviously going to be purchase, okay? Now, ROAS goal, set everything as it is, everything as it is, pretty simple. Now, the reason why we don't want to add interest, oh, well, Daniel, what about I want to target people who, if you have a surfing brand, oh, I want to target people who surf. Calm down. Your creatives are going to do that, right? That is why I said 80% of the heavy lifting should be done by the creative. So if you haven't already, please check out that video, creative, on how to make winning creatives, because without this means nothing. Okay, without the creatives, this whole thing is bullshit. Okay, now, batch 1, flat lay, done. And then pretty simple, right? What I want you to do is just name this 1, okay? And from there, just add 3 to 6 variations of this. After you've done that, quickly duplicate, and boom. Now we have copy. Now we want to do batch 2, okay? Then we have, as I said, studio shoot, yeah, boom. And then we want 1 to 6 on studio shoots in different iteration, different variations within that concept. Pretty simple. The main thing that I also want you to watch out is make sure you have the product URL set to its direct correlation. So for example, if you're having a flat lay and it's a specific black hoodie, make sure the URL goes towards that specific black hoodie. If it's like a studio shoot with a bunch of people wearing different bunch of products, like a collection, then make sure you lead it to the collection page. Okay, you never want to lead it to the home page unless you have an evergreen hero product, which most of you guys watching don't, okay? So really important that the URL is set, okay? Very important. Now, that is the structure I want you to do it. And obviously going sort of back to this process, right? Creative testing, batch, right? Again, sort of the fundamental aspect of looking at the ROAS, looking at the click-through rate, and analyze KPIs within 4 to 7 day span. Always at AOV $100, and you want to run for $10 until it hits. Don't even look at the ad, and then analyze and see, okay? Now, the decision making and killing process, right? See if which batches work better, where the budget is getting spent at. If it's spent AOV and it's obviously not hit primary KPI, kill it and test another creative, right? Again, that is why I'm saying the creative is gonna do the heavy lifting. So we need to be in the position where we can develop winning creatives, because if we don't, then nothing will work. But my main goal of this video is for you to understand that ads work with a small budget, and I want you to realize that, okay? Now, hope you got some value out of this. If you have any questions, shoot me a message on Instagram. If you want our team to have full audit of your brand, book a call below, talk to you. And quite frankly, I say this at the end of every call. If you don't get any value, if you don't implement anything I say, you just waste your time, okay?